All right, this is part 2, and what we're looking at here is the Predator 224 engine. I just mounted it on this Troy Bilt Tomahawk chipper, if I can say that right. And we're running into one problem, which is down in there, our clutch pulley, which we action here. This, if you watch the pulley here, it pulls the belt tight, and then just because of the angle of this lever, it locks in place. Well, that pulley isn't quite lined up. So if you watch part 1, it kind of gives a little better explanation. What we're gonna do is we're gonna bring this pulley over. And so I think what I'm gonna do is there's a bushing right here, and I'm going to take this assembly apart and shorten that bushing. And I think that will solve our problem. Or so I hope. So let's see if we can do that. All right, so I got the bushing out. I probably could have done this a little differently. It would definitely have been easier to do it when the engine was off. This assembly is really accessible. This bolt didn't want to budge, just finally able to get it to go. But anyway, so I shortened the bushing. I didn't show that. I just took it over and took a cutoff wheel on an angle grinder and zipped it off, and then worked the edges with a belt sander. So now we'll put it back, and hopefully I ground off enough. I didn't want to do too much because there does need to be some clearance in there. But hopefully this will work, so we will try that next. Okay, so I think I was successful there. Now the belt lines up. You can see here we have the alignment. That actually lines up good. This was the bushing that we shortened. Now I do have one more problem. Well, first of all, let me show you this. So this locks into place. The problem we're having now is right down in here, this little guy will get caught on when the thing is released. So it doesn't all the way come out without me coming up and pushing on this a little bit. There we go. Probably all I need to do is just take the Dremel tool and kind of just cut a notch right at the bottom here, just a small one, just enough for this bolt and spring assembly of sorts to pass through freely. That's probably the easiest way. So otherwise, I think that should work fine. So now we will just look at the next part, which is adding some bracing underneath. So if you remember from part 1 of the video, I'm just a little concerned about the engine being supported solely by the 4 bolts that are on the front of the engine. It probably can support it, but I don't know if the engine really is designed to support that, so I'm worried about cracking the case. So Maybe it's overkill, maybe it's not, but I'm going to add some support from below. So I think I have some extra material. I'll see if I can use some aluminum. I've got some aluminum angle and some spare aircraft aluminum from a separate project. So I'll see if that will work. Well, we messed up filming and missed filming the building of the bracket, the extra engine support. So I'll just kind of run through what I did. So I added 6061 T6 aluminum 1/8 inch aluminum angle there. So that is bolted here. There were already 2 existing holes. I just used those. And then there's another piece of angle aluminum on the bottom. They're on both sides here of the engine. And basically, so I didn't have to drill new holes. I used the existing ones, and then I just used just a nut in the middle. It's kind of a gap filler. And then I added these upright supports. I ran out of small bolts, so this is currently held with a rivet, but I'll drill that out and put in a bolt. So I did have some for the bottom, but yeah, that's pretty much what's holding it up right now. And then, as we saw before, I went in and moved this bushing over, and I've already tried it. I'll show it here in a minute. It does work great. The only issue, I still need to grind out that spot. What happens is this clutch, just like a clutch on a car, you kind of have to ease it in. And because there's that little lip there that it's catching, you kind of hear that little, it's just not super smooth. And so a couple times I just stalled it trying to engage the clutch because I just couldn't get it quite as smooth. So I'll definitely need to drill that or grind it, and I'll use just a Dremel tool. But that's what it looks like. I think it'll work good. Using it, I definitely noticed an increase in power from the older engine, and it just didn't skip a beat on a lot of the stuff that I typically grind up. There's a pile of brush that needs to be chipped. So so it works good. Lots of power.